Please rise. For our opening hymn. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning. Praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven. O'er the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe truth is larger than any one book or way. Religion and science go hand in hand. Integrity requires freedom of conscience. Diversity is something to celebrate. In the struggle for justice, we come alive. Our highest aspiration and calling is love. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever path you are on, you are welcome here. And now will Terry Sandu, Scott Leonard, and Donna Evans-Dayerman come forward to light our chalice this morning. Terry, Scott, and Donna are the newest members of West Shore's Worship Associate Team. And as they, yes, please. Yes, please. And as they light our chalice, we affirm their leadership with gratitude and with thanks. May this flame, symbol of transformation since time has begun, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, sustain our courage as we seek what is good within us and around us. Thank you, folks. Thank you so much. Once again, welcome to West Shore Unitarian Universalist Church. We're so glad you are here with us this morning, and we are so glad about the folks joining us from home. Great to see you guys here as well. We have so much good that is going on in our community. You want to check out the West Shore Weekly insert in your order of service so you can find out what events are coming up, how you can get involved, a way you can find your way in to this lovely community. Let's now greet each other warmly. If you see someone you have not met before, please say hello, and maybe you can offer up a wave to the folks at home. There's the camera right there. Let's greet each other right now. What a different vibe. Da, 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 da. Hi, good morning. Hi, Dave. Glad you're here this morning.
Anthony,
hi, how are you? Good to see you. Good morning. Glad you're here this morning. Hi, how are you?
Morning.
Good to see you. Hi, guys.
Morning.
Good morning to you. Glad you're here today. Hey,
Morning.
hi.
Good
Good
to
morning.
see you.
Good morning. How are you, sir? Good morning to you.
Hey, Buster.
Hi, dear. Come here. Oh, good to see you. Ooh.
Good morning.
Hi, dear. Good to see you. You look lovely. How are you? You doing well? Doing okay? Good. Hey.
Morning.
Good morning. Glad you're here this morning. Hi. Good morning.
I know, it's a miracle.
Come here, dear. So good to see you. Hi, how are you? Give you a hug. Good to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, good morning. Okay, here we go.
My brother's no longer.
Yes. We come to this good morning, remembering the journey of freedom. The land we are on was once another's. We mourn the legacies of oppression. Healing is our way forward. Joy is the birthright of all. I'd like to welcome up here Kalila Billy Whirly Billy, senior organizer at Greater Cleveland Congregations. She's got a couple words for us this morning, so give her a warm welcome. Kalila, we're so glad you're here.
Set my timer for 3 minutes because you all know as GCC we believe in being disciplined, and so I'm going to stick to that discipline. What a joy it is to be at West Shore Unitarian. It has been far too long for me being here, but also my heart, as well as the foundation of GCC, is truly connected to West Shore forever and always. You are one of our founding members, standing up in times of both joy and sadness. You helped to shape the organization in which it is today, and we continue to be grateful for the work, the effort, the blood, sweat, and tears of the member of this congregation, and so truly appreciate that. And with that being said, I think I'm going to lead with the words that was just stated. Truth is larger than any book or way, and that is your belief. Truth is larger than any book or way. And the truth is, in our county, binding over young boys to the adult prison system is significant. And that is the truth. It's larger than any book, any stats that talks about the things that happen, any way that does not give the full details of what is happening in these instances. The truth is that in our county, we're not leading in the state of Ohio, but we are leading in the nation for binding over African American boys in this country. But it's also not being about either or. I think about West Shore as a place that believes in the both and. We can speak about the injustice that's happening with bindovers and grieve for the victims who may have been implicated by some of the actions decided by youth. We are in a time where we are seeing numbers of youth Rates go up in terms of crime, but we are also in a time where we know that injustices happen. This congregation, this membership to this institution, has proven that you can always be a both and not just either or. You can be a place of faith, a place of ownership, and a place of welcomeness, despite the fact that even in your own roots, that someone was murdered during the civil rights movement. And I remember coming here after your pilgrimage to Selma, and getting the poster, and the pride that came from this institution to be a part of that moment and grieve the loss that took place. And I think these are continuous to be times in a moment that we are continuing to still be in a pandemic where we reach out and be a both and. That we don't think about ourselves as an either or. Well, if I'm in this part of Cuyahoga County, should I be necessarily concerned with this part of Cuyahoga County? You can be both and. It can impact you directly and indirectly. And as we know, youth brains do not develop until the age of 25. Anybody here a parent of a teenager? I'm reminded of this daily. But I also know my job as a mother is to remember balance. There's a term now called gentle parenting. It's understanding that the development process hasn't happened yet. But also understanding the need for direction and discipline to ensure that when they get to that age where their brains are fully developed, that they can look back and say, woo, I'm so grateful that people didn't just do harsh parenting, but that they took the time to understand. So on December 6th, we welcome you, whether in person or hybrid, to join us at 7 p.m. at Olivet Institutional Baptist Church, where we will have a public hearing around this issue of youth bindovers. April of 2022, we had a primary action at Forest Hill Presbyterian Church, where we had the county executive candidates and the judges that was running for the contested juvenile seat be present. Ann McDonough will be there on December 6th as she committed in April to attend. And we're going to have a really thorough conversation, as well as, if you all know GCC, action steps to move forward on this issue of youth bindovers. Because truth is larger than any book or way, and we're getting this way wrong. And we have to put truth to it, and we have to take justice. And I know just the institution that will help us to continue to do this, as you have in all of our actions since 2011, and continue to strengthen the work that we do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kalila. You know, I'm so grateful for this congregation. That was one of the congregations that was the started GCC. So grateful that we together create this space also, where we can come together and we can be moved by truth, by hearing truth. Thank you for your generosity in making this place possible. The day's offering will now be received, and gratefully, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you all here after a satisfactory turkey stuffing, I hope. Full disclosure, I tend to be a bit of a cynic when it comes to anything beyond the scope of scientific understanding. My reaction to Reverend Makar's request to do a reflection this week was, what do you want me to say on my reflection on rocks? But in reality, I have had some experience with sacred stones. My late husband, Cal, and I visited Stonehenge in the United Kingdom in 2015. It was a sight not to be missed. And indeed, Stonehenge is awe-inspiring. Built between 3700 and 1600 BC, it is the most architecturally sophisticated and only surviving linteled stone circle in the world. It is the site of the first known cremation ceremonies, and it's surrounded by 350 burial mounds from the Neolithic and Bronze Ages. As immense as the stones are, it did not rock my world. There was just no sense of mysticism. What there was were busloads of tourists, all carefully guided through the site on a well-timed schedule so that everyone got to spend just the right amount of time with the stones, while keeping to the dedicated paths, which did not bring anyone too close. I was glad I saw it, but it wasn't a spiritual experience. There was too much tourism noise, complete with the mandatory gift shop at the exit. My pragmatic self overcame my spiritual self. So fast forward 5 years and getting through a book called The Field. That January, my son Seth moved to Flagstaff, Arizona, and my husband Cal passed away. Widowed and missing my son, I dared to travel to Flagstaff in the midst of COVID. Seth and I had a fabulous time traveling around in the Jeep Cherokee that he had inherited from Cal and I when we brought it back from our home in Mexico. Seth couldn't wait to get his hands on it so that he could jack up the suspension and put these enormous tires on it so that I could barely climb into it, and he could go off-roading. Then he could barely wait to take me out off-roading, the mom with the bad back. So he took me on the pink Jeep off-road trail in our old green Jeep Cherokee. I could not deny him his fun, and as we drove to Sedona, Seth, a very spiritual person, talked to me about the energy vortexes that twist tree trunks in complete circles there, and the vibe of Sedona, a place known for spiritual tours, retreats, healing therapies, and psychics. My cynical side went, yeah, sure. However, since I had read The Field by Lynn McTaggart, I was a little bit more open. In a nutshell, The Field explains the paranormal by saying that there are energy particles smaller than atoms within all matter: people, plants, the earth, stones. These particles are constantly humming, uniting us with all else in our environment. They are the reason therapies such as healing touch, prayer, and the energy from sacred stones affect us. It's worth a read if you're interested, and it's not a big book. The off-roading turned out to be great fun, with submarine rock, so named because of its resemblance to the exterior of a submarine, bringing the biggest surprise. After the Jeep got us up to the rock, we got out and climbed over its smooth red surface to sit and enjoy the view. But there was so much more than just a view. Submarine Rock was humming. I felt the energy of the place. I felt the peace. I felt that I could literally sit on that rock for the rest of my life and be perfectly happy, at one with nature and with my Creator. It was a truly mystical experience. So rocks, sacred stones, yeah, I can talk about that.
My life flows on, an endless song. My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars, I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing? Let's be together for a moment of prayer and meditation. I invite you to close your eyes as you feel comfortable doing so. There have been storms lately in our lives, personal struggles and collective struggles. We've already heard about one today, youth bindovers, the injustice of that. It is good to hear the truth of that today. And we're also naming another collective struggle, last Saturday's shooting at the gay nightclub in Colorado Springs, the anger, the fear that this has triggered across our nation, the sorrow, the outrage. This way, and so many other ways in which our world can suffocate us in shadow. We extend our love to the victims and their families. We extend our love to all who are hurting. We extend our hopes that all those committing hate crimes might be healed of their hate. And we also affirm this hope that there might yet be inmost calm in us, that there might also be the singing that sustains us and saves us from despair and burnout. Let each of us find our rock to cling to. And now all are invited to come forward to share from the heart. These are the joys and sorrows of our hearts, which I will take into my meditations this week and pray for all that is our life. For all that is our life, we take this and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Morning, friends. Holy is the dish and drain, the soap and sink and the cup and plate, warm wool socks, cold white tile, shower heads and good dry towels, and frying eggs sound like songs, with bits of salt measured in my palm. It's all a part of a sacrament, as holy as a day is spent. Holy is the busy street, cars that boom with passion's beat, the checkout girl counting change, the hands that shook my hands today, and hymns of geese fly overhead and spread their wings like their parents did. Blessed be the dog that runs in her sleep to chase some wild, elusive thing. Holy is the familiar room, quiet moments in the afternoon, folding sheets like folding hands, to pray as only laundry can. I'm letting go of all my fear, like autumn leaves made of earth and air. For the summer came and the summer went, as holy as a day is spent. Holy is the place I stand to give whatever small good I can. The empty page, the open book, redemption everywhere I look. Unknowingly we slow our pace in the shade of unexpected grace, with grateful smiles and sad lament, as holy as a day is spent, and morning light sings providence, as holy as a day is spent.
Let's see the rest of the slideshow. Let's see those. Yeah, there we go. One of the many stones I have taken from vacation spots, that must be the Lord saying, wait and hear my sermon, right? One of the many stones I have taken from vacation spots sits right here. There should be a picture of it up here too. It's a stone I found on the shores of Lake Michigan when I was still in seminary all of 20 plus years ago. It is sizable, it is bigger than my fist, and it has a vein of quartz separating the top from the bottom, as if a kind of horizon line. I remember when I first saw it, why I took it. It made me think of heaven and earth. It brought to mind the sacred teaching about how heaven is already here on earth, how the sacred is somehow already within the everyday. But what also came to mind, side by side with this sacred teaching, was my experience of how very often it seems like heaven is anywhere else but right here and now. Can you relate? Side by side, these two thoughts came to me when finding this stone upon the shores of Lake Michigan when I was early in my ministerial formation, and I felt the weightiness of the need for spiritual healing. I felt the weightiness of the ministry that I felt called to do. I took that stone home as a solid reminder. I put it on my shelf as a challenge with gravitas. It was a sacred stone to me, and it continues to be sacred all these years later. I found it while on vacation, and I wonder if that resonates with you. For example, have you been yourself on the last day of a holiday, and say it was somewhere outdoors in nature, and you just didn't want to leave that place because that holiday was a doorway to joy for you, a doorway to peace for you. You loved what you were experiencing, and you knew that whatever else life may bring, there is something so very true about those sweet moments of joy and peace. You just didn't want to forget that upon returning home and being reintroduced to the mayhem of everyday life. So, being outdoors, you took a stone home with you, or maybe 3 or 4 stones home with you. Have you ever done that? Yeah. Yeah. That's a great response, by the way. You guys are better. You're getting better at that. Good. That's Kelly Pincus. There you go, Kelly. All right, great. So maybe you have done that as a way of reminding yourself that this world is constantly changing, but the sacred, whatever it happens to be, has solidity to it. It has power to anchor you. The rock that you hold on to no matter what the storms of life may bring. Weather comes and goes. Oh yeah, emails come and go, don't they? Cleveland Browns come and go, don't they? But you know, peace and joy are forever, or at least we want to believe that, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Everywhere and always, we have surrounded ourselves, and I'm speaking of humanity in general, we have surrounded ourselves with sacred objects so as to remind ourselves that yes, we are indeed spiritual beings having a human experience. And often enough, over the course of human history, the sacred objects we have surrounded ourselves with are made of stone. And there are so many kinds of them. We could talk all day long about sacred stones. How about the kind of sacred stones we call crystals? Crystals as used in alternative healing modalities. Many ancient cultures, including Egypt, Greece, China, believed that crystals had healing properties. The claim is that crystals soften and dissolve energy blockages, and they promote the flow of good energy, leading to physical and emotional benefits. Clear quartz, for example, is considered a master healer, and it is supposed to support the entire energetic system. Jasper is said to provide support during times of stress. Obsidian is believed to help process emotions and experiences and aid in letting go. Amethyst is used for healing, purifying, and enhancing willpower, and on and on. Now, is the sacred power actually in crystals, or is it more a matter of the placebo effect? Y'all know about the placebo effect? Yeah. People who argue for the placebo effect will say that crystal power is not so much about anything inherent in the actual crystal itself. It has more to do with the power of belief. If you genuinely believe that interaction with a certain crystal can positively impact your health or your spirituality, then it really can happen. Bring a certain expectation to your chosen crystal, and reality will follow. Does this mean then that the amethyst that I have brought today and set here on the chalice table, that it will heal you, assuming you want that? Well, probably by just bringing up the whole placebo effect possibility, I might have actually undermined my amethyst's power. Placebos work best when you don't know that they're actually placebos. Whatever your beliefs happen to be about crystal healing, one thing is for sure: the physical objects upon which we confer sacred authority, even if there's no power intrinsic to them, they become ways by which we clarify our intentions. They become ways by which we focus our priorities and our energies. What is inner must be given outer expression, as within, so without. Even more controversial is another kind of sacred stone, or I should say sacred stones, really big ones. The sun, the 8 planets, and yes, I am stubbornly including Pluto, and the moon. I'm talking about astrology. Astrology is the theory that these immense stones, in their motion through the sky, through space, they have sacred power in them to say something meaningful about individual human beings, the potentials that you and I were born with, our strengths and our weaknesses, perhaps future life events that will be important. Now, mention astrology, and most people will think of daily horoscope articles, right? One online article I looked at just this morning tells me that since I'm a Pisces, I was born between February 19th and March 20th, I will likely receive positive news about a corporate endeavor, special event, or promotional campaign. Whoa, right, okay. But this is sun sign astrology. This is just sun sign astrology. It's just about where the sun was in the sky when I was born and what that is supposed to mean. From the perspective of astrology as a whole, this, relying on just that bit of data, that's like trying to craft a letter to somebody using only 3 keys on the keyboard. Right? It is. It's that sun sign astrology is that limited. The fuller astrological picture for any given person must also consider where all the other solar system bodies were at the moment of your birth. Not just the sun, but also the moon, together with Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto. This together with all of the angles that they make with each other. And then on top of all of this, their individual connections with the signs and the houses that they all occupy. Now, all of those things I just said, that might make no sense to you, fine. But the main point is simply that the genuine practice of astrology is truly sophisticated, and it is something that most people are not at all familiar with. And most people also do not believe. But I would look at Carl Jung's. How many of you know Carl Jung? If you don't, you want to know this guy. His take on astrology as a classic example of the workings of synchronicity. You want to find out more? Come join me for the sermon chat. All right? There's a little advertisement for you right there, middle of the sermon. And in any event, disbelief cannot erase the historical fact that for the ancients, the sun, the moon, and the planets provided people a basic orientation to life. It satisfied their deep desire to know who they were and where they were going in a cosmic, sacred sense. We have always been and will always be spiritual beings having a human experience. Now, I want you to think back to the slideshow we just saw a moment ago, where we saw pictures of other outstanding examples of sacredness in stones. From 5,000 years ago, Stonehenge, we heard a little bit about Stonehenge a moment ago, coming out of a prehistoric culture that left no written records behind. For them, Stonehenge was for sure a burial site for the dead, and its stones were laid out so that come solstice time, here, more astrology, right? Come solstice time, the sun would be aligned with those stones. Have you ever seen that, pictures of that, the alignment of the sun? And it would be just in such an exact and dramatic fashion. Theorists speculate on other purposes, to be a symbol of peace and unity, to be a central site for physical and spiritual healing. Today it may indeed be a tourist trap, yeah, but long ago, the mystery wrapped up in those stones must have been so completely compelling, so much so that workers would transport those 125-ton, 13-foot-tall standing stones. They would transport those 150 miles from the quarry to the Stonehenge site. Can you imagine the effort involved in that? But you know, when you want to make sacredness manifest, put it in stone. The heavier, the better. Over and over again, the world's various religious traditions demonstrate this. Uluru, also known as Ayers Rock, is a rock formation in central Australia, and it is the center of the mythic world to the Aboriginal Anangu people. Then there is the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem from 2,500 years ago, sacred to Muslims and Christians, and also the geographical center of Judaism. And then there is the Black Stone in the Kaaba, located in Mecca, which is Islam's cosmic center, and to which 1.5 billion Muslims the world over point themselves to when they do their 5 times a day devotion. A personal favorite is Chartres Cathedral in France, specifically its labyrinth, built in the 1200s. Walking a cathedral labyrinth was a substitute for going on to pilgrimage to Jerusalem. And not everyone, of course, could make that long and arduous journey to the Holy Land. So walking a labyrinth in a church was a devotional activity. However, I do need to say that labyrinths actually predate Christianity by thousands of years and have always served as and I'm going to call it this, a technology of the sacred. They've always served as a technology of the sacred. And by that I mean something material that supports spiritual intentionality. Right? Something material that supports spiritual intentionality. And I am very happy to say that you can have your own chance to explore the labyrinth on January 1st of 2023, because on that day you will see this. That is Baker Hall. That is a portable labyrinth. Do you see how it fills up Baker Hall? This thing is huge. It's almost the size of the labyrinth in Chartres Cathedral. That's our labyrinth. We're going to start the year off right with a special labyrinth walk. Yeah. January 1st from 10 a.m. to noon. That's the main event with any number of special altars and stations within our building. It'll just be our way of starting out a new year right. So not a standard worship service, but this experience. You can have that experience yourself. That's material technology that supports your spiritual journey. So I'm so delighted to be able to show you that this morning. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing. It was also exhausting to roll out. Let me tell you, I did it myself, so I want some help now, but just to say it was great. But I especially want you to know about a sacred stone environment that precedes all of these that I've been talking about. It is the oldest known temple on earth, dating 6,000 years before Stonehenge. I am literally on my tiptoes telling you that. 6,000 years before Stonehenge. Oh, that was supposed to get you laughing. I don't know. Maybe that's not funny. I was just like, that's exciting. 6,000 years before Stonehenge? Isn't that like crazy? What is it going to take to impress you folks? Come on. Good Lord. The oldest known temple on earth. I'm on my tiptoes again. Yes! And, it's also 7,000 years before yet another great stone structure, the Great Pyramid of Giza, itself ancient like crazy. This site I'm talking about is called Göbekli Tepe. It is in southeastern Turkey, and as the lead archaeologist Klaus Schmidt has to say, he says, religious ritual, sacred space, and even the practice of pilgrimage preceded the rise of agriculture and civilization as we tend to define it. He says, this places organized religion at an earlier point in evolutionary history than previously believed. Modern humans, he concludes, do not exist apart from stone, and religion itself is built upon such rock. That's what he says. Now just sit with that a little bit. I'm not on my tiptoes anymore, but I do feel like a shiver running up and down my spine. We are indeed spiritual beings having a human experience. Before agriculture, before civilization, there was religion. Now, I'm not sure it was organized. I don't know if religion's ever been organized, but whatever. There has been religion. From earliest times, people have created objects and even total environments that are meant to remind them of their highest values and their best selves. That is why they are sacred. That is why they are sacred. And we Unitarian Universalists, we too have our sacred stones. The site at Walden Pond near Concord, Massachusetts, it's one of my very favorites, where back in 1845, our spiritual ancestor, Henry David Thoreau, spent 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days in a cabin, engaged in an experiment in sustainable living, an experiment in simple living. I really, really wanted to take a stone from that site. Probably would have gone to jail, but whatever. In another part of Concord is a place known as Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, and Thoreau is buried there. And do you remember that picture of that little stone, his tombstone? It really is tiny. It is a tiny tombstone with just one word on it, Henry. And it's wild because the man has such an impact. He's one of our very best known Unitarian ancestors. Just this tiny little tombstone with the name Henry. I cried freely when I saw that. I couldn't leave that site without finding a little stone to put on his tombstone. I just wouldn't have felt right leaving without doing that. It was the only thing I could do to say that I love him, and I'm grateful that his memory is sacred. And so is the memory of someone else with David in their name, Francis David, the great court preacher of the one and only Unitarian king in history. And this is hundreds of years before Thoreau and Walden Pond, and thousands of miles away in the Transylvanian region of what is now Romania. Picture this with me. It's 1568. It is 1568. The brilliant Francis David has just returned to Koloshvar after winning a debate with the leading Calvinist scholar of the time about the nature of religious faith. Now, this is a very different, just a very different situation with regard to religions. You'll hear this in a moment. Listen to what this Calvinist scholar said to Francis David. He said, "If I win this debate, you will be executed." I call that a pretty different environment, right? But Francis David, he replied calmly. He said, "If I win this debate, if I win it, you will be given the freedom due to every child of God." Because David knew faith is the gift of God. A person's faith is their authentic way of being with the mystery, with a capital M, the mystery. It's their authentic way. It can't be compelled, too. It can't be compelled, even by the person, the person in question. You can't compel it in yourself. You believe what you believe. I can't compel it in myself. I believe what I believe. Belief comes from a place that is deeper than trying. It comes from the soul. It comes from God. For 450 years, this has been our tradition. Freedom of conscience is synonymous with who we are. Francis David, in 1568, he won the debate. He won the debate. Yes, that's right. Are you going to leave her standing like that? Come on now. So imagine 1568, he wins the debate. He comes back to Koloshvar. He's at the gates of Koloshvar. The entire town, 1,000 plus people, they meet him because they didn't have social media at the time. So it's like they got excited about different things, right? So at this time, these debates were the thing, man. That was the Olympics. They just loved. So the 1,000 plus people, they meet him at the gates of this city. They clamor to know what happened during this debate. And Francis David, he starts to tell the story, but the people, they just stop him. They stop him. Not enough of them can see him because, you see, Francis David was a short dude. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, tippy toe ain't gonna work back then. So anyhow, so they're like, stop. Don't tell your story. They have him stand upon a boulder. And you saw that boulder. Do you remember that boulder? Yeah. They had him stand on that boulder. And that is when he goes into this just impassioned oratory about what the heck just happened. And he inspires all of his countrymen, all of the townsfolk of Koloshvar. And that day, the entire town became Unitarian. They just absorbed that freedom of conscious vision, and they were just like, yeah, we want that. So 1,000 plus people on the spot, they became Unitarian. That boulder marks that occasion. And I saw that boulder. I was there. It's at the big church in Koloshvar. How many of you out there have seen that boulder? Right, because you've been to Transylvania. You know what I'm talking about. That boulder is satisfyingly heavy and big. Yeah, it is sacred. And so are these sacred stones surrounding us. These stones that make up this building here in Rocky River. We are in our 76th year here. And here we invoke, and we'll never stop invoking, the spirit of the quest for wisdom, the spirit of a thirst for justice and dismantling of oppression, the spirit of a longing for wholeness, the spirit of a heart for compassion, a spirit that is so incredibly ancient, and a spirit that is right here and right now. These sacred stones that create space for the spirit of life, the spirit that does bring heaven to earth and earth to heaven. So let us be thankful for these sacred stones. So may it be. Amen. Amen. Let us now rise and say our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us until we meet again. Let's now sing our closing hymn. Hail the glorious golden city. Hail the glorious golden city, pictured by the seers of old. Ever light designs o'er it, wondrous things of it are told. Wise and righteous men and women dwell within its gleaming wall. Wrong is banished from its borders. Justice reigns supreme o'er all. We are builders of that city, all our joys and all our groans. Help to rear its shining ramparts. All our lives are building stones. Whether humble or exalted, all are called to task divine. All must aid alike to carry forward one sublime design. So I want to ask you to think of something this day. May you bring discernment to your life. May you bring a stewardship mentality to your life. The question is, do the heavy things that you surround yourself with, do they reflect your highest values? Is all the effort and stress worth it? And if not, what happens next for you? Let all your work of building, may it follow a sublime design. Let the heavy stones that you carry reflect your highest values. Let this city that we are building here, this West Shore city, may it follow a sublime design. May it be so. And with all our help together, we will make it so. Can I hear an amen? Yes. Let's sing the third verse. And the work that we have builded, oft with bleeding hands and tears. Often error, often anguish will not perish with our years. It will live and shine transfigured in the final reign of right. It will pass into the splendors of the city of the light.